Hey y'all, coming at you from my backyard today. This is kind of crazy, but I did my live stream earlier today, my Sunday service, and I mentioned a few things about moderation and moderators and whatnot, and I'm like, well, should I do a little video? And then I'm like, yeah, you should come full circle. Why? Because that's what we do. So before I get started, I found some cool leaves in the backyard. Look at how beautiful 'tis the season, right? It is so pretty. And then this one's kind of ugly, I guess, but I just think the colors, like I said, the colors of the season are starting to come out. And I just like, sometimes my favorite place is just being home and listening to the birds and all them simple things in life. But I just wanted to kind of bring this up. Ever since I started my channel, I've never really changed up moderators or moderation or anything like that. And listen, it's always just been my hobby. Someone mentioned kind of early on, like, hey, you should really think about your moderators because, they should always be people that have your back, that you trust, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, oh, I'm not taking it that serious, and I just add my friends and people that I think are cool at the time, or whatever the case may be. But as I've grown, which is not much, listen, I am not that special. I really think like, hey, there are times where I actually, need moderation and kind of spread it out, through like my trips and my Sunday mornings, and stuff like that. Recently I took a big trip to Reno, where there are some YouTube experts there, and I am no YouTube expert. Like, I love making thumbnails and videos. I pride myself on that, but I do not own a laptop. Okay. I do everything from my phone. And for those of you that know your YouTube studio, you need like a magnifying glass to look at it from your phone. But like I said, I just don't take it that seriously, and I don't own a laptop because I just don't have time to, push through in that manner. But when I was in Reno, I realized somebody helped me with it, and they're like, gosh, you got all these YouTube channels blocked. And I'm kind of like, what? Because I didn't know how to look at it from the studio. And I'm like, well, if one of my moderators did that, it's kind of rude that they wouldn't ask me first, like, can I block these full on slot channels from your channel, and let me know down below if that's rude or not. I don't know. But like I said, I'm still not even taking it that serious. No hard feelings, at all. But I do want to let you know, sometimes you just clean house, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what I did with my moderators that weekend. I just stripped them all away and I said, I'm going to start fresh. I will slowly start adding moderators back in as I see ya, But one other thing that I realized is like, wow, some people don't even want to be moderators, but I was just adding them because I thought it was cool. They're like, sometimes people just want to come in and enjoy, the chat and the commentary and the entertainment and whatnot, so I kind of realized that too. Like, yeah, like I get it sometimes. Like, if I go into a channel, it's my time to just kind of chill and chat. Like, I don't want to work, so to speak. But at some point, I want to limit the moderators because sometimes I was looking at my chat and there's like 20 wrenches in there. And at some point, like, I'd like to reimburse my moderators, because it is work, and, like I said, attach a real email to my channel at some point, for people to actually email me back and whatnot. Now, listen, I will tell you, I am not a perfect person. I don't think anybody in this world is a perfect person, but I will tell you across the globe that I move with good intentions from a very good place in my heart. I love everybody. I'm not the one to choose sides over this or that. Why? I don't choose sides because it is not that serious. I deal with how you are treating me right now and what we're working with. You know what I mean? I always preach to you guys, if they don't feed, fuck, or finance you, the 3 F's in life, place them accordingly, right? And I don't mean that in a rude way, but you can only take things so seriously. I work 60 hours a week. I hold down a large home. I love myself, my child, my family, even though he's grown, your son or your child is always your child, right? But like I said, I just wanted to kind of set the record straight on this. I'll add moderators as I go. Like I said, no hard feelings. If you were really, really hurt by it, like I said, let me know and we'll get you added back in or whatever the case may be. But I'm trying to limit the amount of moderators too, and spread them out a little bit in case I do like a random live or something like that while I'm traveling. But listen, I have absolutely loved you know, moving with y'all, growing with y'all. And then, you know, like I said, just sometimes in life and channels and things, people outgrow things, people outgrow people, you know, they just kind of move in the moment. You know, like I said, I don't mean anything rude or harmful by, you know, taking all my moderators out, but sometimes mom got a clean house, right? And like I said, it just is what it is. I love every one of you guys, and I do look forward to growing with you. And I am here if you got my number or whatever, reach out. But aside from that, that's pretty much all I have for my moderate tea. And like I said, let me know what's up. I love y'all. Happy fall. I'm so happy to be in this weather. It just brings out great energy. And like I said, if you need me, reach out, but like and subscribe. And I'm sorry if this doesn't have anything to do with y'all. You know what I mean? More than likely it doesn't, you know, just putting something out there. But okay. Bye, y'all. The juice is out.